and last section of this topic, I guess, is application of area and circumference. So it kind of looks like word problems, but it's trying to see if you have the ability to use the formulas that we know. And remember our two formulas. Area is pi r squared. Circumference is 2 pi r. They look very, very similar, but they're going to give you really different answers. So these are kind of like working backwards. The area of a circle is 25 pi, and they're asking us this time for the radius. And notice how in all of the problems we did earlier, they gave us the radius, and we had to find either the area or the circumference. Well, now they're seeing if we know how to go backwards. So what I'm seeing that's really important here is the fact that they're giving me an area. That means I'm going to use my area formula. Okay, so I'm going to start by writing that. Area equals pi r squared. Okay, and they're telling me that the area is 25 pi. So what I'm going to do with that 25 pi is plug it in for area, because that's what they're telling me that it is. They're saying the area is 25 pi, so it's like the end of the problem that they're already giving you. So I'm going to plug 25 pi in for A, and I'm trying to find the radius, so I'm just going to keep the r in my equation because that's what I'm solving for. Okay, so always start by just writing the formula, and then most likely you'll be able to plug some numbers in and cancel some things, and then eventually end up with the answer. And the cool thing about leaving your answer in terms of pi is that look what happens with the pi's now. They cancel on each side. So the equation you're just trying to solve for now is 25 equals r squared. And so maybe you can figure out what the radius is now in your head, or if you're going to do it algebraically, all you have to do to get r by itself is square root both sides. Square root of 25 is 5. Square root of r squared is just r. So that means that my radius, that's what we were trying to find this whole time, is 5, what are the units of the original problem? Centimeters in this case. And that is it. Okay? And no, we don't need to have 5 pi, or we don't need to go to the calculator and multiply by 3.14, because remember the pi's canceled over here, so the pi's actually kind of went away. So your answer is just 5. We're just looking for the radius. Okay, in example number 2, here's what is important about this one is that this one is now a circumference problem. So all I read was the words the circumference, and then I'm stopping and I'm just going to write the formula real quick. Circumference equals 2 pi r. Okay. So that's the formula that I'm dealing with in this problem. So the circumference of a circle is 60 pi. So they're telling me that that is equal to the circumference. So that's what's going to be plugged in for C in this case. Okay, so I'm going to plug in 60 pi. And I don't know what the radius is, but I'm going to just keep the r in my equation. I'm going to solve for the radius, and then hopefully that's going to help me find the diameter. Okay, and the same thing is going to happen with those pi's. On each side they cancel. So my new equation is 60 equals 2 times r. And now we should be able to solve this equation, 2 times r. In order to get r by itself, we have to divide both sides by 2. So I end up with r equals 30. And a lot of people might circle their answer now and move on to the next question, but make sure that you are actually answering the question. This is not our answer. The question wants the diameter. So just keep in mind what the radius is. It goes from the center to the outside, and it's 30. So the problem's now asking you, can you figure out how long it is from one side to the other? So all you have to do with that radius is double it. That means that the diameter is 60 times, or 30 times 2, which is 60. Or 30 plus 30, which is 60. And what units is this problem in? It's in feet. Okay, so make sure you answer the question. Okay. Let's see, this problem, sometimes it might be easier for you too if you draw a picture of what's going on. Number 3 says the radius of a circle is 23 inches. So I'm going to draw the circle over here as good as I can. and that radius is 23. Okay, this looks kind of like the picture of the earlier problems that we did. This question is asking me to find the circumference, so I'm going to use my circumference formula, c equals 2 pi r. Okay, and I know what the radius is. The radius is 23, so I'm going to write c equals 2 pi times 23. From here I can multiply 2 and 23, and you get 46 pi inches. That's our exact answer. And then remember, if you want a rounded answer, if the directions tell you to round, you're going to just multiply 46 by 3.14 in your calculator and get 144.4 inches. And again, that's circumference, so it's not inches squared because it's just talking about the distance around, so that's just in inches. Okay, 2 problems left. The diameter of a circle is 18. I'm going to draw that picture real quick so I can kind of have a visual of what it looks like. Diameter goes all the way across the circle, and that is 18. Okay. This says find the area and the circumference. So it's kind of like 2 problems, so I'm going to use both of my formulas anyway. So my area formula equals pi r squared, and my circumference formula is 2 pi r. So I'm going to use both of the formulas, and this is actually a 2-part question where you're going to have 2 answers at the end. Okay, very important to recognize that they gave us the diameter in this case, which means that my radius is just half of that, so it's just 9. So I'm plugging in 9 for r for both of my formulas. So my area equals pi times 9 squared. Area equals pi times 81 is what 9 squared is, equals 81 pi meters squared. And remember, in area, your units are always squared, whereas circumference and distance and everything else, your units are just whatever they are, just meters, just centimeters, just feet. Okay, we'll skip the exact answer on, or the rounded answer on this one, because we know how to type 81 times 3.14 in the calculator, but that's going to be my area. Okay, for circumference, what I'm going to do is still plug in that radius. Remember, the radius is 9, don't use the 18. You can multiply 2 times 9, and it's 18 pi meters for the circumference, or the distance all the way around the circle. So 2 different answers for this one. This is my area answer, and this is my circumference. Okay. Now we just have one question left. This one's another area problem. Find the area of a circle is 144. So I read that word area, and I'm going to start by writing my area formula. Okay, and it's telling me that the area is 144, so that's what's going to go in for my A. 144 pi equals, I don't know what the radius is, that's what I'm trying to find first. So I'm just going to use pi r squared. Okay, and remember what happens with the pi's, they cancel on each side. And now my equation is 144 equals r squared. And maybe you know this one in your head. Maybe you have to use the calculator and square root 144 to get r by itself. But we end up with radius equals 12. We weren't given any units on this one, no feet or meters or anything, so we'll just say units. Okay, that's the first question they asked. And then remember, or notice that the second part of the question, it also wants to know what the circumference is. Okay, so remember that circumference formula, that equals 2 times pi times r. And we just found the r in the first part, so that's what you're going to plug in for the radius. Circumference equals 2 times pi times 12. And you can multiply the 2 and the 12 and get 24 pi. And again, it's just units. And you know how to type it into your calculator if your teacher wants an exact answer, or a rounded answer, excuse me. So remember those two formulas are really important, and those two formulas that you learned, the area formula and the circumference formula, are going to help you solve all of these area problems. And always remember that pi is going to be in all of your answers for circles too.